me see it because we're actually going to have to sign in with their account.
Oh, okay.
So I need to pull that up.
You don't have to do that. You can probably just tell me it'd be easier.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to make sure I can see it. Which I think I can just do it on here. You're gonna have people. You're making waves.
You have studios. $7 o'clock. Yeah. You go to villageartsfactory.com/live. Is that right, Chad?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do.
Should be.
villageartsfactory.com with that's a slash, isn't it? The
I
angle?
believe so, yeah.
It's like an angle slash live. And, got it? Okay. I'm going to go live shortly, so. Yes. No, Village Arts Factory. Village Arts Factory.com/blog. All center stage, okay? I gotta go.
You're live to the world. We are live. You're live. Go stand over there. Let me see. We're not live yet. You still have 4 minutes, but let me see if I see you. There's a little bit of a delay, obviously. 1 sec. There's a delay.
We are. Delayed? What?
There's about a 10-second delay. So. Oh, there you are. You're so cute.
Now, do we talk yet? Are we live?
I would wait until 7. You get 3 minutes.
Okay. Oh, that's yours.
Hi. Looks. No, I pulled it up. Looks like we're good. Yeah, we're ready. Just gonna wait until 7 and we'll start. Yep. Bye.
Who's that?
That was Susan. We still have 2 minutes here. Just gonna be here. And I'll help type too. They'll help. You'll be happy.
I'll do.
But you look good.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yep. 2 minutes. Two watching. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You don't say it loud. I get it.
Okay. That's what it's, oh, that's me?
Yeah, that was you just a minute ago.
Oh.
You're good.
Studio looks nice. Well, you haven't set up.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Okay.
So if I see anything, I'll throw it out there. Like if there's any specific questions.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what was freaking me out when I did my live stream is there is a delay. So I had the stream up on I had two monitors up. 'Cause I was
Okay.
like, and I would be talking and I'd look over and it would be something, I'm like, wait a minute, is that live? Am I frozen? Yeah, it was really, you're live, it's 7 o'clock. You want to start off and introduce yourself?
Hello. Welcome to D&M Art Studios. We are at 50755 Cherry Hill Road at our new location, which is the Village Arts Factory. And I'm Sharon Lee Dillenbeck, but commonly known as Mrs. D. And we are live because of the generous donation of Chad from Swartzy Photo. And he's sitting in the background and he'll make sure that I know if anybody has anything to say. Remember, this is a fundraiser for the Village Arts Factory. We need your help. Now, personally, think about how many of you out there that I did fundraisers for you. I gave you art supplies, I gave you face painters, I donated at every single one of your events. And it would be nice for you to donate for us here to keep the arts above ground, so to speak. And you can donate through the links in the chat. Okay, to get started, you need paint, okay? And a canvas, or you can use a board, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to use. And remember, this particular project is just inspiration. It's not, do you have to draw it exactly like this? Not at all. What we're going to do first is I'm going to talk you through a quick drawing, then I'm going to show you how to paint it. And if you have questions, please ask, and Chad will get them to me. The first thing you need to know is the paint I should probably go through the materials you need, so I need to slow down a second. Okay, the paint you should have is white, blue, yellow, orange, green, brown, maybe a hint of red, 2 buckets of water, and the sort of paintbrushes, sponges, whatever we can use, and a pencil now. So what I'm going to do is, and it doesn't matter how big you want to do this project, this is a piece that was brought to me, a photograph, a picture that somebody else had found and wanted to do it in one of our painting parties. So this is not one of my original ideas. This is just a interpretation of something else. So in order to get started, I like you to figure out where your middle is and just put the tiniest little dot. Why do we do that? So you can focus and draw and everything gets situated where you need it to be. The shapes we'll be using, and we're going to be repeating our shapes because all artists repeat their shapes. We're going to be using ovals, and when we get into putting some of the petals in, we'll do it a kind of cool way. All right, first thing I need you to do is in the air, draw a nice big oval. Get used to using your arms, use it, then put yourself in a nice oval. Okay, right in the middle. Your dot is here, move yourself up. Now, if you make mistakes, don't worry about erasing today. Why? Because we're going to paint over this. It will work. You're going to paint right over it. All right, now we're going to repeat that shape and move it into the center. All right, now I've started that out in pencil, but because I need you to be able to see it, I'm going to start drawing everything in permanent marker for you to see. We're going to do the petals, we'll do the stem, and then some big elephant type leaves. And then we'll immediately start in the background. Okay, how would we do these leaves? Well, when I'm teaching in the class, I always tell you, we'll start off on this side. Smiley face, frowny face. That's how easy. Smiley face, frowny face. Smiley face, and I'm doing this in a permanent marker. Do you have to know? This one wasn't done in a permanent marker, but the one, there are others. I'm just doing it in permanent marker so you can see it. Okay, so far we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. We're going to do another one. And then I'm going to start back up here. We're going to put some little leaves in the background, but we'll get there.
Sharon, while you do that, Kristen Dillenbeck said, "Hi, Mom."
Well, hi, baby. All the way from Portland, Oregon. And I probably said Oregon wrong. There we go. Thank you for joining us. You're still at work, though. There you go. These look like teardrops. And like I said, if it doesn't look like mine, is that okay? Of course it is. Remember, it's just an inspiration piece, and you can indeed go over the edges when we start painting. Okay?
She said you said it right, Mom. Mom in capital letters. No, she said don't call her out either. Uh-oh.
Thank you for joining me, though. Makes me feel like family's there. There you go. Now I'm going to go over this part with permanent marker so you can see. My oval is still there, but I am not outlining that part because I outlined it with the flower, or with the petals. Okay, say we want to put some of these little green leaves in. Well, how do we do that? Again, smiley face, frowny face, and put a line through it. Why? So you remember those are the leaves. You don't get them mixed up with the petals. Smiley face, frowny face. That's the easiest way to do these. We'll put a couple down in here. Smiley face, frowny face. It does work that way. All right, we're going to put a big stem. Remember, on flowers, they're a little bit thicker on these ones, so it doesn't really matter how thick you make it. Kind of looks cool. Oh, let me put another green one down here. Make a little wiggle. All right. Now, let's put some leaves out in here. Smiley face, frowny face, line in, connect it. Okay, we're going to do the big elephant leaf down here, and all it is a heart shape. 1, 2, and then I'm going to put that center through. All right? You can also put some free shapes in here, and I know if Kristen's painting, she's already got free shapes all over the place.
What about Crystal? She said, "Hi, Mom," from your other Portland daughter.
Oh my goodness, I miss you.
With a big red heart.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you joined us. Actually, those two look alike. Okay, I guess it's time to paint. Take a moment, make sure your drawing is the way you want it, and we'll go from there. Actually, I think I'll put one more little one over here to balance it. Now, just to give you an idea how I put the paints together so I could save them, is they're in an ice cube tray. And if for some reason we don't get finished with all this, I would just put a piece of tin foil on top and put it in the refrigerator or wherever. Okay. I'm using a palette, and you can use a styrofoam, a paper plate, plastic plate, anything that's kind of styrofoam-like. And I'm going to start. Well, because we have so many of these petals, I'm going to start with the background. And all paintings have three parts: background, middle ground, foreground. And that's what we have to work on. All right, so we're going to start with the white because I want to, I'm just going to take my white and I'm just going to start a little bit up in here. All right, I'm going to start right up in here with the white. Then I'm going to take a little bit of blue and go right over that white. And now I'm going to get in here with my paint. And you can do this in an X pattern. If you go over your petals, your petals, that's perfectly okay because you're going to paint those last. Now when we start putting the background in, one side should be darker than the other. So you have to decide. I'm thinking I'm going to make this side dark, then this corner dark. So kind of an X pattern to give you more of a composition, more of a pleasing arrangement of shapes. Actually in art, that's what composition is, a pleasing arrangement of shapes. Literature, pleasing arrangement of words. Music, pleasing arrangement of notes. It's all composition.
You got a lot of people from Portland. Peter and Kevin are watching.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Those are my daughters. I'm sure my daughters twisted their arms. I appreciate all of it. And actually, Kristen picked this one out, so.
Sharon, while you do that, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you, not to put a date on you, but like how much can you just, for people that don't, maybe watching that don't know you, about your experience?
Well,
just in terms of how long you've been doing this, like in how successful you've been in this community. I think that's really key for everybody to know.
Well, my studio is 33 years strong. When my daughter, the one that's in Portland, was young, little, I couldn't go back to work because she wasn't well. She's well now, but so I started painting, and I graduated from the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. And way back when, I started teaching students in my home, little kids from Montessori school. Well, my husband said to me at the time, would you please get all this out of the house? So I opened a studio in Old Village, Plymouth for 10 years. And I was always buying more and more and more supplies. So a friend of mine said, listen, go open a store and I'll help you fill it with supplies. And within 8 months, I paid that off and just kept on going. So I've been in the business since 1987.
But you do more than just, it's not like you're an artist that paints and puts it up in galleries. Like you're really big in community.
I teach. Basically, we share, we teach, we create. I'm one of the founders, or the beginning of the team that helped put the summit together, the Village Theater together. Actually, we had our names on the seats in the theater. I always said ours were the closest to the bar, the closest to the bathroom. I help with the senior citizen programs. I do preschool. I also run a good homeschool unit out of the studio. We face paint in every, I train face painters in every event, from fire departments, police departments, Liberty Fest, Art and Park. We're out there. We're the ones that do the chalk art in the street at Art in the Park. Unfortunately, this year was canceled. We also have, Kristen actually has done the painting the humans right into the canvas. She comes in, flies in to do that for her mom. And I don't think there's a school out there that hasn't asked me for donations. And I have taught, well now, you figure it out. I'm teaching the kids of the kids I first started with. And that's really, really nice. I've had many of my kids come through with for their high school portfolio reviews. They have gotten numerous scholarships. Some have gotten free rides. So that's kind of nice. We've been around a long time.
Here at the Village Art Studio, what classes do you offer, or will you be offering?
Well, right now, we're going to try and start up next week full with children and adult classes. We offer classes every day of the week. Kids drawing, painting, basic skills. We are doing a lot of private and semi-private right now. We'll start up with that. Summer camp starts next week. We have the first 3-day camp, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Our theme is kaleidoscope. And the reason we're doing that is kaleidoscope are different changing patterns. And from that, we're going to do different cultures wrapped around central themes. So we do have classes every day. You can just look on my website, which is www.dmartstudio.com. What I'm trying to do is darken this on this side, and then it'll be darker down here. And I'm putting it in an X pattern. I'm termed an American Impressionist, so if you would see some of my work in the background, it's more just putting the paint down and letting your eye do the blending instead of having you blend on a palette. That's my style. I can be realistic. I can do all the blending if I have to, but this I do for me. All right, if you're squinting, looking at it, you should have some darks, some lights, and we'll get back to these pieces. I might put a little more darker color in here. And you could even be doing this with watercolor if you didn't have the acrylic or oil paint. Okay, so I just want a little bit more. A good thing to do too, if you have the time, is do the sides, because then you don't have to buy a frame. It'll be one nice piece. And these are the ones I'm working on are a standard 16 by 20. Okay, so if this is light, then everything down here is going to be lighter. Dark, everything down here is going to be darker. So kind of like an X pattern. Are we having fun yet?
I have a question.
Yeah.
As a photographer, I've told you this, I can see stuff and take a picture. I'm always amazed how you can just paint. Do you have to have, like, not on everything, but do you have to have a reference a lot of times, a picture or another painting? Or do you just, out of your own mind, do it?
Both ways.
Both ways?
Both
Do you find
ways.
one way is easier than other, or?
No. If I'm doing a commission piece, definitely you have the reference. For instance, I've been painting florals forever and ever and ever, and at one time in my life when I do art shows, I used to do all the irises, and they called me the iris lady, and I could paint irises without ever looking at any. But I'm the type of person that loves still life. I love to look at my subject matter while I'm painting, simply because then you see it better, you paint it better, you're working around the corners, you can see it, so your work isn't flat. If you're not if you're looking at a photograph and working from a photograph or another painting, yours tends to be flatter unless you're experienced enough to know that it's round or it's curved. And that's kind of one of the things that I always push is if you're starting to paint, starting to draw, work straight from the object itself. And it just depends on the subject matter that I draw or paint. I love painting children. That's one of my expertise. Okay, I'm going to start in and do, I think I'll start in doing some of the petals, but I'm going to underpaint too. Okay, I think I'll start with the yellow. I'm going to underpaint in here first, just because I'm going to paint over it. And yes, you see brown there, but I'm just getting some highlights in here. And this brush that I'm using is a filbert. A filbert brush kind of goes up, like this is considered a flat. This one kind of goes up this way, and this is probably my favorite brush to use. See, and this is a filbert, but you can't see it yet. Okay, so all I'm doing is kind of putting some color in, and I'll go over top of it. And don't worry about what it looks like yet. This is all considered underpainting, except when I start getting up to a higher amount here. Now I'm going to use another yellow, but it's more like a yellow ochre. And those of you that have babies, if you're that old, you know, it's like baby poop color. Oh, did I say that? But that's a color. And this is a standard color to use. Now, what if I started with the brown over top of this? This is going to give it the look you want. Okay. I'm just blending the colors together. This will get darker. We'll go back in and do a darker center. And I do have on my brush mixture of colors. So now it looks cool. And it'll dry up a little bit, and I'll go back in it. And this is the center, so this will be, I'm going to go in there in a little bit and work on that. So you should have some form of color. Am I doing it exactly like that one? Nah. Am I doing it exactly like that one? No.
That's what makes your pieces so great. Not one photo, or not one painting is the same.
Because I'll get bored, you know. I think people who paint or take photos or whatever, you look at stuff different. And I know personally, if I see it better, I can draw it better, and I can paint it better. So you really have to look at your subject matter. I probably should have went and bought one of these sunflowers and set it in front of me. It would have made me happier.
Silly question, but as a non-painter that's very interested in this, when you're painting, does it matter? So you're putting that yellow down right now. As you go through and put that other color down, does one color cover better than other? Like, is there a method to that in terms of like, oh, I can't put blue on top of yellow? Do you know what I'm saying, to get your edges? Does any of that make sense?
Actually, in all fairness, there is only 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. But there are cool primaries and warm primaries, which means there are some blues that you absolutely don't want to mix with a warm red because you get mud. And it's practice, learning what to put in when.
Or being taught by a great teacher, right?
Well, that's right. You can all come to me. I've always said, you know, I'm a painter. I paint because I need to paint, That need comes from inside me. And when I teach, I respect that all of you have an inner artist. So I don't make you paint identical to what I do. I like to give you the techniques, but then I like to let you fly. To do whatever you need to do. I've still been doing 30-minute free classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 o'clock on different mediums. They're probably in the archives. Friday, tomorrow, will be my 40th one. And you can find them on the archives. And again, remember why we're doing this. We're doing this so you will enjoy the Village Arts Factory, donate something to keep us going. This is a really unique space. I feel really, you gotta figure, I was in my other studio for 23 years. When this came up, you know, I wanted a different lifestyle. You gotta figure out. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but I was thinking it was time for me to retire. But when I walked in here and saw how cool this place was and how cool it could become, I just decided, oh well, I'll move out of the 23-year-old spot, move into here. So it's been great. When I walk in the door, I feel really good about it. Yes, we still have a lot of ways to go, but we're all trying. All right, now I'm going to start putting in my leaves, getting down in here. My petals, not my leaves. All right. And painting, just like everybody else, I sometimes get absorbed. I actually have a painting that I did when my girls were little, Kristen and Aaron. And I was painting and painting and painting and painting, and one of them came up to me and said, Mommy, are we going to eat today? So, you know, sometimes you get into that zone. And now I'm just putting in the yellow first. And some flowers have yellow, but I'm going to change them into orange. You know what would be cool too? If you did a whole thing, sunflowers maybe purple or blue. Do them colors that are complementary colors, like a flavist. And that's kind of a neat way to go. Now I'm going to add in things to this, so, and if I'm going over my lines a little bit, it's fine. Some of my black lines are going to show through, but that's okay too, because what you can do to make them more Van Gogh-ish, if that's a style you like, go back over once it's all dry and outline it, either with paint, markers, whatever. Now we do a lot of this. We've done these painting parties a lot of, this is actually a good team building event to do as well, because what I've done in the past, and that's how I got started with these parties many, many years ago when I was a teacher, I would go in and lay out canvases, and it would be a blank canvas. And I'd say to the teachers, this is how your child feels, your new child feels when they come into the classroom. Oh my God, well, how am I going to paint that? How am I going to do this? But if you lifted up the canvas, then you saw all the pieces to draw and paint your piece. And I used to do that as team building. And it was always a good thing to do. And I'm sure my Kristen and my Erin have done the team building as well. I'm going to go ahead and start on, I don't even know what time we're at. Okay. I'm going to start on finishing this part to give you an idea, because they're still wet. So I'm going to blend in some of these while they're still a little wet, so I can get this to look. Okay, any comments out there?
Kristen said that they did eat dinner. We all ate dinner, she said.
The other thing is, I have paintings when a lot of my paintings are children when they were little. They were my subject matter. I have paintings, I have one called Skittles because they would model for me and the only way I could get them to sit was if I gave them candy. So I called it Skittles. Another time, Kristen and Aaron, I was painting a painting, and it's probably still here because I didn't want to sell it, of them running in the back, and I only had one child in my painting, and I heard Aaron say to Kristen, "Wait for me!" So I had another kid. That was a good painting too. But my style is basically impressionistic, old impressionistic. And I'm painting this in acrylic, but I gotta tell you, acrylic is not my favorite medium at all. My favorite medium is oil. When I do stuff for shows or to send it out, I do it in oil. I'm also very proficient in watercolor. I teach a lot of classes in that. Watercolor is usually the easiest one people want to work with simply because there's no odor. But it's not the easiest medium.
So my question is, what is it about oil that you like so much?
When I open the box of oil paints and I smell that, yes, I'm an oil paint. Actually, it's creamier, it's easier to blend, if you wanted to blend. It's just that kind of piece. I'm mixing some brown with the blue to get that dark ridge in my painting. And brown mixed with blue make pretty good looking black. We'll get back into highlights and stuff. But I wanted to kind of do this. Is this painting my $1 million painting? Absolutely not. This is just one of those fun things you do with friends. But of course, if somebody wants to spend $1 million for it, that's fine.
Well, I think that's another key thing too, right? So not only you have classes, but you have artwork for sale.
Oh yes.
And supplies. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You also have supplies.
Supplies, artwork, and we have just about everything in here. Well, everything's in here is for sale. The cool thing is, Schwartzy Photo, Chad over there, did a virtual tour for me. And if you're interested, just kind of let us know. The studio's awesome. I've had great help putting it together. The hanging system is new. It's from Walker Display in Minnesota, I believe. My fiance said we were not going to just put holes in the wall, and there we are. Just really cool. I'm just getting these down in, just getting the paint on. The cool thing about acrylics, and you know, that you can put it in and then you can go over it. If you make mistakes, go over it 101 times. Okay, I like what's doing down here with these petals. They're kind of changing a little bit. I like what that's looking like. Kind of gives you, those ones are kind of orange. These ones are a little bit cooler. And then I'm gonna go with this in. And lots of times why I paint with a long handle brush is because actually you're supposed to be able to step away from your work and view it and see what it needs. I want to start on getting the leaves in before all of a sudden we're done and you guys who are painting with me haven't had a chance to do your leaves. And it's always good to finger paint too, just so you know, because you can get that smooth look. I always said I wanted to be an artist so I didn't have to grow up. And you can start painting at any age. My dad didn't start painting till he was in his 70s. And he used to paint just like the Bob Ross style, but it was cool. We've been known to paint on wine glasses, beer mugs, sidewalk chalk, anything. Okay. Now, I like this guy. He's looking like, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put some green in. He's a little darker, and then I'll put some white highlights in too. I'm kind of liking this dark style for me today. I'll put this one in. You know, you have to remember something. Art is fun. And as soon as you forget that, or it's not fun for you anymore, then quit. Okay? And I do art every single day. Sometimes I'm so involved in it, I feel like I'm going to be gobbled up by it. So I do it just about every day. And you can email me anytime at dmartist1@aol.com if you have any questions or any thoughts. Okay, I'm using green. The only green I had was like a Christmas green. And I have to be honest, I don't like that bright green like that. So I'm mixing maybe a little blue in it to make it darker, a little yellow to make it lighter. And I need to fill this in. This is just underpainting. We'll get back in here. We just need to fill this stuff in.
Crystal's got a good question.
Yes.
Do you have a certain type of music that you like to listen to while you paint?
Oh, I would love the classics. Classical music is my favorite. Country is my second. I like just about anything, but classical music is my favorite. And actually, because I have a hearing issue, my daughter bought me earphones that actually it works by vibrations, so I can hear music and still hear people talking as well. All right, I'm going to get this one darker back in here because it's overlapping. And this is more than an hour and a half painting, guys. This will take more than an hour and a half to finish, but I wanted to do one big enough so at least you could see it. This type of painting takes about 3.5 hours to get it the way you want it. But remember, we're playing today. I would love for you to take pictures of your work and send them to me. That would really be fun to see. I keep thinking I would have loved to have done this one in shades of purple, all cool colors. Maybe that'll be the next thing I plan on doing. All I'm doing is putting underpainting in. I have not put much in as far as shadows, but just so we know where the colors are going, so you can make judgments where you're going to put the stuff. And as you can tell, I haven't changed much brushes because I like these filberts. Do you feel like the
conquering the shadow and light is maybe the hardest thing for people to get?
Oh, yeah.
Because I would think that would be, right? Because
Yeah.
that's where the
Absolutely.
contrast and the detail come in.
Absolutely.
So how do you learn that? Is that something you can teach somebody?
Yep, I could teach that. You actually have to think, like right now, my highlights are gonna come down this way, okay? Because that's how I think the sun's gonna come down. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Right now, I haven't given the sun, I have not given it what the sunlight's supposed to be yet. That's why I like still life, because you can sit it up, you can light it up with a lamp, and that's what we do in here. When you're working with me, I have lamps sitting around. Your first drawing is actually your first drawing is I teach you how to use the pencil correctly, many different ways to hold it, and what a pencil will do for you. And then I go back and we light up a still life and we work from a couple objects. Then we just keep on going. This is an overlapping one, so I'm going to go ahead and make this one just a little bit darker. These are those free shapes I said to put in the bottom. You know, this one back here, I think I might do blue even, or yellow. I don't know. It could be another still life or another sunflower. I'll tell you, anyone who's ever painted like this, you know it's hard to talk and paint at the same time. If you're trying to darken your your green, add red. Like watch how dark this is gonna get. And that's only by learning a little bit about color theory, which I teach. I'm trying not to get it on this new easel. Repeat on the new easel, although it'll wipe off. Oh, you hear people in the background. These all have open ceilings. Not the happiest. Sometimes you can't really tell too many secrets, but they're trying to work that out. This is what's really cool about being in a place like this is you're surrounded with by other like-minded people in the arts, and you get to see all kinds of art. So not everybody's art is the same, and that's what's cool about it. Like if I wasn't in here, I would have never met Chad. Or Liz, who's laughing over there. We wouldn't have met her either. But art is fun. Actually, when you call me, that's what I do. Art is fun at D&M Studio.
Kristen was asking what other artists that you know of in terms of what they do in the factory.
Oh, well, we have
There's somebody else here, right? I think she's related to you.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know her name exactly.
I can actually tell you that the branded Barbie is here. The pretty famous tattoo artist. And she is my child. And my granddaughter is also on Facebook Live. We do art with Emily. But Erin is by far one of the best tattoo artists around. And not just because she's my kid. She's just really, really good. You can find her on Branded Barbie, on Facebook, the Branded Barbie, and see everything that she does. She is really good. And she's just newly open thanks to the COVID. She's just now open. So she could use some business as well. And let me tell you, our family of artists, we're all supportive of each other. It's been, I'm very, very lucky to have my two daughters that are so involved in the arts and so supportive of me. I need to add some blue down here. We having fun yet? I am. Okay. I'm going to make this darker blue down in here, fill this spot in, step back for half a second, and then start putting some highlights in.
Do you ever find that a problem? Do you ever have to actually just walk away and come back another time? Do you ever get like that?
I have a stack of paintings that I haven't finished yet. Then all of a sudden I'll sit down and paint them all. Yeah, well, it's always like that. I think that's what you need to learn when you're painting is not everything turns out the first time. You have to keep practicing it and going over it. I actually like this piece because it's different. And to develop it would be awesome. I could keep on developing it. But just to give you some thought, if you were doing this, say you had to put those little dots in. So I'm using the back of my paintbrush to put those little highlighted dots in. You can always put, we're going to do the highlights this way. We're going to tip these up here. I don't know what time it is. What are we at?
7:45.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to tip some of these where I think the highlights should be. They're not as developed as they should be yet, but just to give those of you that are watching where I go with this, the top of these, and then it'll be down in here, and then I'll start painting on it a little bit more. But just to give you an idea where the highlights would hit, so if I'm going to say it's coming down this way, once this is developed, these leaves, then I'd highlight that a little bit, but this really helps a little bit. Remember when you're painting, it's not so much the color, and yes, the color is important, but it's how dark and how light your colors are. That's called its value. Okay, let me see if I can kind of get in here and develop some of these a little bit. Because now I start to develop them so they would be finished pieces. And again, I like that look where it's not necessarily a blended color. Where Erin is, the tattoo artist, is a real realistic painter of skin. Kristen is kind of like me, kind of wild, and sometimes at paintings when she was still at home, we'd do paintings together, and then we'd fight over whose painting it really was later on, because they looked so much alike. Our styles pretty.
Man, who's better? Dun dun dun. She's watching.
Who's better?
Subjective, right?
Depends on the project. I mean, relatively, my girls are great when they paint. I'll tell you, we came back from Belize one time, and Kristen stood in front of two huge canvases and painted a scene we saw, and it was in her mind, of a little cafe in Belize. Just sat down and painted it. It was one of the most awesome pictures. And that big one that's out there in the hallway, that's hers too. And she paints that in, just maybe a couple hours.
Kristen said you. Kristen said you are.
I
just think you're very humble.
Yes, I appreciate that, but I always feel better if my artists are out there and they're, if I'm a good painter. Not a great painter, I'm a good painter. But you know what? That's not my gift. My gift is, God gave me this gift that I can teach. And that's why I didn't quit and totally retire, because I know I can teach. So painting is cool. You see how I'm putting the darks in, how it's making everything else now start to pop a little bit? Because again, it's not how light, or not the color, it's how dark and light the values are. And I'll make these pop a little bit. See, I don't even know what it looks like because I'm so close to it, but oh yeah. Remember, folks, if you like what you're doing, like what you see, you can join me on Facebook Live too. But the whole object, or why I'm spending my time at doing this, is so you'll donate money to the Village Arts Factory. And there is a link on chat that you can do that, and it could be $10, it could be $100, or $1,000, whatever, or it could be the $1 million painting. We could do that too. You know, we have basic skills classes all the way up to advanced here. I do like to do personal classes, private, semi-private, anytime. And if you feel much more comfortable doing a private class with me, just call me. I have a lot of time. Even though we're starting summer camps, we have a couple weeks that we have lots of time. Our class size here has been where we used to take 20 kids in a camp. We're now down to, I'm only taking like 10, sometimes just 8, depending on the subject or the projects we're doing. And again, remember what I said, do the back, do the sides. Oh gosh, I will finish this tomorrow because I know it's not done. But I will stand here and finish this because it'll make me crazy. I'll walk in and it'll be there. I was like, I need to do that, I need to do that. But if you had fun with me, please make sure you drop me a note. And I'll hear from my daughter, I'm sure, when I'm done. So, where are we? Chad?
9 minutes.
9 whole minutes, good. 9 whole minutes. So, again, if you had fun, join us. Okay, I think I could make this a little more orangier. I always have 2 buckets of water, one to wash, one to rinse, so we can have clean one. Okay, let me think. This is just plain. I've had fun today, I hope you guys have too.
Kristen says, this was awesome.
Oh, thank you, darling, thank you. We had a fun one on the clay painting. We were doing Wayne Thiebaud painting with clay, really cheap, inexpensive clay. That was really a lot of fun. We did that on Wednesday. We're going to do some batik dyeing as well. Going forward, some hot wax. I know that one was a little orange, but I thought this one should be really much more yellow. And I'm making the paint thick, so it gives it more texture. That's impasto paint, which is thick paint. You could also use palette knife, you know, these trusty little knives. You paint with these things.
Crystal said, such a fun class. Thank you and miss you.
Well, I have to get out there and see you guys. soon as I can get traveling, I think I'll be out there. We've had some, we could do another wine tasting trip, make Jeffrey drive. Wow. See what I'm doing with the palette knife? It's giving it a little more texture. You can't see it up close, but it gives it, you can kind of play in it. Anybody who likes to paint or likes to play in clay or anything three-dimensional, palette knives are great to use. And the cool thing about this stuff, if you don't like it, you can take it out. That's why, or paint over it. That's kind of why I like acrylic. Maybe later on I'll do an event, watercolor event, if it works out. That's fun. We'll do poured painting, poured watercolor paint. You could also use the same paint to pour in a background and go from there. Actually, the other artists that are in here, we have a rug maker, a soap maker, tattoo artist, which is Erin, and a whole big pottery, and we have Swartzy photos. We have so much going on in here. Okay. It's almost time to take a break, because you can only paint so much and then you're like tired.
We got 5 minutes left.
Okay. I'm going to put this color down in here. Okay. Now, because this is pretty strong, I probably would go back in here with black and do some nice Van Gogh black lines. That would look really cool. And give it more of a look. Well, I'm hoping we did, hoping everybody had a chance, because I know people stopped in to get the paints from me. So I'm hoping everybody had a chance to do this. Maybe we should have a wine painting class, or we have wine glass painting, and everybody have their wine in front of them. We could do that. That would be fun. Or a beer glass painting. All right. So, if you need any materials ever, you can always call me and I'll send them to you. If you want to do a virtual art class, we can work that out as well. I'm sure I have the expert sitting here and he can teach me how to do that. I have to thank you, Chad, for being there. 'Cause
Anything for you.
there's no way I could have done that part. I'm the person that can only use my computer for checking my checkbook and writing a few notes.
Kristen said, "Were we not supposed to be drinking wine right now?" Question mark.
Aww, I didn't have any. Yes.
Daniel
more.
said, "Yes, more classes. We are down. Kristen will have the box of wine ready for us." So it looks like you got some takers there.
Yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, you know what? We'll do that. We'll play with it and see when we can do some virtual. Wouldn't that be fun? We could do different artists. We could do Monet. We could do Van Gogh. We could do Gogh, the dancers, and of course, I'm the impressionist person. But we could do a Salvador Dali. We could. Oh my gosh, there'd be so many things we could paint together virtually. And then I could send you the information. We can download it. You can download everything you need. That would be fun. Okay. Okay. So, what do you think, guys? Did we do good? I can hear you clapping. Thank you. All right, when I'm all done with this, I'm having a glass of wine. I don't have to be here till 8:30 tomorrow. Because I have a private oil painting class person. You see how I'm putting in some lines in these? It's just reworking the paint a little bit. I have half of this leaf dark, half of it light. And it'll go a little lighter on the edge because remember I said it's going to be highlighted a little bit. When you start out this kind of painting, you know what you do? You think of it as a coloring book. If it's green, you paint it green. If it's blue, paint it blue, and then you go back in with your values. But I think this worked out pretty good. I have to fix these shapes a little bit, but after I'm done, I think what I'm going to do, like I said, is outline it in Van Gogh-like look, and then I'll post it on Facebook. And everybody can see what it looks like. It'll be awesome. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, I don't know how much time I have left.
8 o'clock. Wrap it
I
up.
want to say thank you for joining me.